Tonight on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, this group of friends want to celebrate the end of summer. Unfortunately, someone wants to make sure that it's their final party. Tonight's movie, Death Screams.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! Triskaidekaphilia. Yes, tonight. I thought, you know what? We need to hit up the most favorite genre of mine, subgenre, I guess you would say, in the horror genre, and that is the slasher film. And not only slasher film, but 80s slasher. Yes, the cheesy goodness. Oh, it's just wonderful, wonderful stuff. And tonight's 80s slasher is going to be the movie Death Screams. Death Screams. Yes, no. What is Death Screams about? Well, it is about a small town. It's summer is winding down, fall is about to hit, and a bunch of the youths are going to be moving on to college and the like. And so it's time for like one last hurrah before, we gotta batten down the hatches and become responsible adults. And of course, someone has other plans in mind. Yes, someone has a more sinister murder type plans. And so it is up to this group of teenagers to survive their final weeks, final nights of summer, and live on to, I don't know, get murdered in a college-based slasher film. Anyways, so, I'm going to be vague with this one because, honestly, you'll find out. So let's get to those scores, shall we? Violence and Gore, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. There is decapitation, there's some hands getting chopped off, some dismemberment, some blood here and there, but really it's the final headshot in this movie with a brief head explosion, which bumps it up to that 3. Otherwise, fairly average amount of blood and gore, except for that. So 3 out of 5. Some of the kills, interesting. Not all of them are that spectacular. But there was one that takes place in daylight, which is kind of interesting since it's like at a carnival. There should be a lot of people around, but apparently this area no one's giving a shit about, so whatever. Anyways, moving on to shock value, I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5. It tries to get the jump scares going, but it just really falls flat for the most part. And so, outside of some head explosion, I'm going to get a 1 out of 5. Plot, it's a 2.5 out of 5. It is standard slasher fare. It's standard 80s slasher fare. Basically, set up the people that we are going to try to care about, the victims, and perhaps a little bit of the modus operandi of the killer, but most of that just gets revealed at the end. And honestly, it's just pretty standard. It's showing the kids kind of goofing off, having talking about how they're going to go to school and, trying to hook up and things like that. Just standard. You get a sense of these people. You get some attachments to them, so that when they get offed, you're kind of like, oh no, don't kill that guy or whatever. But nothing special, nothing spectacular, and honestly, that's why when I was giving kind of my little synopsis at the beginning, there wasn't really much to say unless I just go over the actual plot points, which I think sometimes I end up doing, and that kind of gives away the movie and I'm trying to avoid that more and more. So yeah, it's just real basic. It's not horrible. There are some questionable spots, especially the garage scene with a certain person. It doesn't make sense in the context of the end of the film. But anyways, moving on, 2.5 out of 5. It's standard. It's average. It's not bad, but it's not doing anything new or spectacular. It's just hitting the notes to progress the story to get the people into the positions of them getting murdered. Okay, so and also setting up some comical side character moments too. Anyway, so 2.5 out of 5. Acting, I'm also going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. It's very fairly standard slasher acting. Not bad, not overly horrible. Not you're not gonna be getting some performances like the Nightmare Weekend performances, but it's just average. Just no one stands out. No one does really good. It's just average. 2.5 out of 5. Moving on to Nudity, and you're gonna kind of see a pattern here. 2.5 out of 5. I mean, it's kind of standard fare for the slasher genre in the 80s. You get an opening sex scene, very nice. You get some scene where a woman comes on to somebody and he basically give her a cold shower and anyways, and of course, for some reason you have to have a character going skinny dipping because that just has to happen. It's 80s horror slasher film. That's like a rule. It's a law anyway. So also some continuity errors in that scene because she's naked, but then she's got bottoms, and then she's naked again. It's just like what's going on? I don't know. But anyways, 2.5 out of 5. Enjoyment factor, 3.5 out of 5 because it's a fairly average movie, but I do love head explosions and people's heads being separated from their bodies, and it's fun. It's nostalgic. It's comforting. It's a comfort movie. It's cozy. It's warm. It's a blanket of goodness. A movie that I will watch again and again because it's just, to me, it's right there. It's something that I just like. I just like slashers. I love 80s slashers, and it hits those notes for me. I know it's not revolutionary, but it is relatively well paced, relatively interesting characters, and it gets the job done. And that's all I want. Some entertainment, some gore, some tits. I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man. Anyways, 3.5 out of 5. My overall impression is a 3 out of 5. I've seen some very less less well put together slasher films in my life, and I think that even though a lot of the stuff is average with this movie, I think it's a bit higher than the sum of its parts. I like the sheriff character. I think it brings a bit of funny levity in the situation. I appreciate some of the gore effects. I mean, maybe you could be a little bit more graphic, a little bit more bloody, sure, but I think that this is kind of an underrated movie, one that I really haven't heard much, if anyone, talking about, and I think it deserves a little bit more shine than some other slasher movies that may have gotten a little bit more play over the years. And honestly, I'm really somewhat impressed by what they did with this movie, considering how average a lot of it is. So definitely one of those things where when I think back at it and I watch it, it definitely elevates itself enough to be above average. And so I'm giving it an overall 3 out of 5. And that averages out to a 2.6 out of 5, which is what one would expect with a lot of the average scores getting there. I mean, maybe get a little bit better at setting up the jump scares, but overall, it's a solid slasher, and I think movies like this just warms my heart. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but there you have it. Death screams. Death screams. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Have you seen Death Screams? Are you interested in seeing Death Screams? Screams, not screams. It's a different movie altogether. Anyways, and so once again, we have come to the end of another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. Thanks you all for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, all the YouTube garbage, yada, yada, yada. And remember, Internet, to stay scary. And also, if you're getting murdered by having someone put a plastic bag over your head and they're not doing anything to restrict your hand and arm motions, do this. Do this. Put your fingers in her. I don't know if you can hear me, but put your fingers into your mouth and tear open the bag and you'll get airflow. I mean, I guess you're in shock and it's all happening really quickly and you might lose your senses, but man, just like, it's so easy because I see these so thin that you could just pop it and then the killer's going to be just like this, and then all of a sudden you're breathing, and they're going to just have their hands full of this thing that's useless, and it's no longer killing you, and then you can go and do all kinds of crazy, turn around and whatever, he's just going to look like an idiot, just like, oh shit, could you just wait there while I find my sharp implement? No, just do that. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Every time you're by yourself and you're walking alone and you're thinking, oh man, I might get murdered. Just think, okay, if they use a bag, just do the thing. All right? All right. Okay. Anyways, holy shit.